Welcome to another episode of the Crypto Spin Through podcast. It's going to be a late posted episode, but hey, it's getting posted. It's late mainly because of travel reasons, but it's the holidays and there's already been two other episodes this week. And you might think 2 other episodes. Well, if you haven't checked it already, check out the episode that was posted yesterday. I think I posted it. It was about BitShares. Interview with the godfather of BitShares himself. Check it out because there's a lot of good stuff BitShares related and some special announcement sneak peeks in it at the close to the end. BitShares is really cooking up some stuff, so probably in your best interest to check it out and make a good decision about BitShares for 2018. One thing that interview did make me do is really wish I had my original stack of BitShares that I had years ago. But hey, I'm sure people in crypto always have regrets like that. But into the news now. First up, DMM, Bitcoin and Bitcoin. Japan's new crypto exchange is coming January 10th. So DMM is a pretty big internet provider, and they do a lot of other stuff in Japan. Pretty much a giant Japanese conglomerate. And they'll be launching their own exchange on the 10th. It will have Bitcoin, Ethereum, Bitcoin Cash, Ripple, Litecoin, Ethereum Classic, and NIM, with leverage options up to 4 times. So not too surprising since they also have a foreign exchange arm that's pretty large in volume. And it seems like they like dipping their toes into a lot of things. It's also worth mentioning they're also looking into the mining side of things to become a major power in Bitcoin mining. So another big corporation actually in Japan embracing crypto in a way. Next up, Belgium central bank governor declares Bitcoin is not a threat. Why? Because he states Bitcoin is not a currency. Unlike the euro, Bitcoin is not guaranteed by a central bank or government as a means of payment, so it is not a currency because of that. So, an interesting opinion that he thinks it's not a currency because it's not centrally backed by a government or bank. And it's also interesting that he's open to bank-issued crypto. So I think this is one of those opinions where people see Bitcoin and blockchain as 2 separate things without respecting the fact that Bitcoin made this whole blockchain thing not only mainstream but possible really in the first place. So I do agree with him that Bitcoin can't really be considered a currency at this point, but not because it's not centrally backed, but just because primarily the scaling issue and accessibility of it right now. Next up, Chinese Millionaire buys 27% of U.S. blockchain company. 7 Stars Cloud, a Chinese cloud tech company, has bought some of Delaware Board of Trade Holdings, which develops trading systems for the financial industry. It also says it is licensed by the SEC. Together, they're hoping to create a new network dubbed an Initial Exchange Offering Network, or IEO. And they're trying to combine kind of blockchain and artificial intelligence to create a hybrid solution for supply chain finance, risk management, and asset-backed digital securitization. A lot of buzzwords in that, but should be interesting to see what happens with them. This IEO has some kind of flip, more changes to the wording of ICOs and ITOs, and hopefully they're approved on that side of things too. Or who knows, they might be trying to do something totally different with this IEO network. I don't know, it's really too early to tell about anything with this partnership, buyout, slight buyout, whatever. But something worthy to monitor more for this IEO network than for the blockchain and AI solutions they're working on, because I feel like most AI initiatives are years from fruition of being practical on large scales anyway. Next up, former SEC chairman wants a regulatory crackdown on cryptocurrencies. So you've been hearing this a lot about the SEC coming to crack down on all the ICOs, and that's mainly what this article is about again. But he also kind of mentions that it could be this ICO crackdown could lead into regulation to the wider industry. And my opinion on this is it'll be really difficult for a country to enforce kind of country-specific crypto laws, because there'll always be ways around that, and you'll see an example later. So regulating on an ICO sphere makes more sense and easier, since you're keeping out the businesses, but keeping out individuals gets impractical as more people enter crypto. But we'll see. It was even estimated that as early as January, you could see some major crackdowns happen. John McAfee, pumping cryptocurrencies for cash, is the headline for this. McAfee has been under fire for his promotion of crypto lately. He has enough clout to really influence the prices, and it has shown for Verge and Redcoin, because after he tweeted about these two, there is very obvious trading activity, like a bump in it. And an even more interesting situation is when bots mistaked his Tron pick for E Golden and ended up pumping and dumping that coin, because Tron's only on Binance and not on Bittrex. So now, also one Redditor has been claiming that McAfee accepts a promotion of 25 Bitcoins and a 15% fee on the coin that he's promoting. So saying he gets bought out by coins all the time or whatever. And people are in massive debate whether this kind of exposed conversation on Twitter is the real deal or not. But even if it wasn't the real deal, now people have an even worse opinion on him. And this has led to him getting hacked, but not because his opinions or his kind of this allegation of being paid off, but more because he has the clout to pump prices. So someone hacked him, promoted a few coins, and tried to profit off of that. And now he's just not doing coin of the day anymore. That's what he tweeted today. So hopefully he keeps to his word and shuts up about potential crypto, or just stays shilling Bitcoin Cash like he used to, rather than dip his hands into the altcoin market. Because obviously his influence is it's a little bit too much. Next up, Monaco and Binance entering strategic partnership. So this is really just them leveraging each other's kind of reach to cross promote the BNB token and the Monaco tokens. Don't really see anything beyond this, but it makes sense considering Binance is like one of the biggest exchanges now, and 100% the biggest exchange for anything ICO related, or really any new coin. That's usually where it hits first now, because Bittrex has very iffy requirements, and people claim it's really pay to play with them in Poloniex now. But Binance is either low barrier entry or willing to profit solely off trading fees. Japan's embrace of crypto is exaggerated, and taxation is killing trading. So, Koji Higashi, an expert on the Japanese crypto market, states that adoption for big companies has been good, as we've seen above. However, the tax is ridiculous, and it is ridiculous because if you take out over 100,000 US dollars worth of crypto, you get taxed at 55%. So the really ridiculous part is, even when using Bitcoin as a payment, it's a taxable event. So even forgetting about the scaling issue of Bitcoin, this is a country's legislation stopping Bitcoin from even being utilized as a currency, because you're being taxed even more for using it as a payment, a means of payment. So really ridiculous. He also comments on a couple coins, a couple of Japanese coins. For the Japanese coins, it's Monacoin. Kind of has a surprised tone for it, saying a meme coin like this shouldn't really be doing as well as it is. And I'm also surprised because Monacoin's pretty old, and I remember when it was only on this small random Japanese exchange. I don't really understand why it blew up. I guess because it was like the main Japanese coin as Japan really flooded into crypto, and it was a cutesy coin, so I guess that kind of played into it. And then Cardano, really he kind of sees it as ICO with no substance, which there's a lot of those out there, and I don't really know much about that one, but I do know I'm always suspicious about coins that randomly shoot up to the top 20 after just being launched, or their tokens just being released a few months. Most of the time they don't have too much substance because they don't have the time to have substance. He also claims that Ripple's not really block tech, but a payment bridge, and is going to be attacked by the cult of IOTA because he says it's basically unusable. So, next up, cryptocurrency investors lose a major tax break under new US tax code. So, bouncing off the ridiculous Japanese tax, US tax for every crypto to crypto exchange / trade that you do is a taxable event. So trading Monero for Litecoin or Bitcoin for Ethereum, or Ethereum for the latest ICO token, all taxable events. So stupid, extremely hard to enforce, and if they wanted more tax money, this was definitely not the way to do it. Taxing the cashing into the USD should really be the only thing, considering this new law will probably make people dodge taxes even harder. And it's really just ignorant legislation that doesn't benefit anybody, because it will just waste resources on everyone's end to enforce. Next up, Barry Silbert's tweet on Ethereum Classic may draw attention of U.S. regulators. So crypto is pretty hard to cover up these kind of potential wrongdoings, and some of Silbert's tweets fall into kind of the gray area of price manipulation. Primarily one was about closing shorts before a conference that his company was hosting as like a pro tip. Besides that, I don't think there's much substance in getting him pursued yet. Maybe evidence for him on a future basis, but right now, not really anything. There's also mention on how CoinDesk has kind of changed tones as his company's acquired it. And even if it hasn't, always be mindful when people report on specific coins and such, because you don't know how much of vested interest a website has about talking about specific coins. There's plenty of sponsored posts that are dressed up as news on regular meters, so don't be surprised when it happens on crypto too. And these are kind of harder to address as like call out, because it could be something that's pretty legitimate tech-wise or anything that kind of separates itself from like those standard press releases where it's like, this company is amazing, this is why you should be aware that they're crowd selling soon, TM. It'll be more subtle and just there to grab your interest, so just be aware of that. There's really been specific instances that I could personally point out, because I usually tone out any specific articles about certain coins, because it's just prone to be rife with people just low-key or high-key shilling. And then, interesting article up next, the death of ICOs and 4 other 2018 predictions. First up, ICOs will die is his first prediction. Don't really agree with this one. Think ICOs will just not be as wild as they were this year. Regulation is cracking down worldwide on ICOs, and know your customer is getting more integral to these ICOs, and we'll see more restrictions placed on who can invest in certain things and all that. But that also leads into us getting more security compliant ICOs in the future. So it might lead to less massive crowd sales, but we might need to lead to more crowd sales, but less crowd sales, but expect ICOs to still be around and plentiful for at least the first half of 2018. And as the US side, like, I've heard that there are already some US ICOs that will potentially be launched soon in 2018 because they're actually getting compliant with the SEC. Next up, prediction of financial institutions adopting digital assets. I think this is just dumb because it's not really a prediction at this point, it's a fact. And yeah, it will just accelerate as time goes on. Then coins will interoperate, which basically means they're swapping between each other. Think of atomic swaps. In the article, they mentioned Raiden doing this, which is Raiden's also being kind of a secondary scaling solution for Ethereum. So coins being easily switched out without having to use this centralized exchange will definitely be a big thing. And it will be essential, I think, for kind of more use cases of coins. Next up, hybrid blockchains, which is most blockchains are fully public or fully private now. Hybrid blockchains is saying there'll be one public facing side and one private facing side of that one token or tech that will be utilized. which makes total sense because there's some things companies don't want to be publicly available, and that will definitely contribute to more companies adopting the underlying technology. Then this last point was more prediction was more just like a point, a specialization or generalization, and it really boiled down to you don't know what will happen because the tech there's going to be tons of tech developments in 2018 and can't really tell what exactly is going to replace or come up. And finally, Chinese crypto enthusiasts are finding a way around government regulation. So this ties back into the tax thing earlier. The Chinese are getting their crypto no matter what. They're using OTC platforms or buying, selling, using bank transfers, Alipay or WeChat Pay as payment processing platforms. They're also running to Hong Kong and even some going off to neighboring countries for haven. So I think this just kind of illustrates what happened if a country's legislation is too oppressive, concerning most people who have the highest amount of vested interest in crypto are 100% smart enough to get around most legislation that isn't going to be actively and aggressively enforced. Most of this is for just the average person that won't go the extra mile to get around this. But people who are super interested have either the time or money to get around any kind of walls such as this. So it's really, for any legislation to work, it would have to be international border spanning to even be effective, really. Otherwise, a country's just wasting its time having really restrictive laws only on their end when people find all kinds of ways to dodge, especially if they're getting taxed 55% like Japan. So that's all today. Rate, review, go check out the BitShares episode. Excuse the kind of the pauses and mistakes today. It's late/early in the morning. So see ya next time, which will I think will be the new year. Yeah. See ya on the new year for the first episode of the new year. And it's already been so long, but yeah, tune in on the New Year's for the next episode of the Crypto Spin Third podcast.